half, and I just finally got my dispatch. So I'm going to be starting the live stream on everything. So thank you, everybody in locals. Where the hell's the overlay thing? 1 second. And everybody's loving the picture of Rodney Dangerfield, I hope. I remember that movie from a kid. I absolutely loved it, and I think about that every Labor Day for some reason. So good morning to everybody and to all of you. And I hope you're having all the best Tuesday morning, although it feels like Monday. Yesterday we did the live stream for Labor Day, and this is the first post Labor Day stream that will hopefully be the most positive post Labor Day stream of your life. And this is where we talk about freedom. This is our Freedom Coffee space where we focus on acknowledging all the freedoms that we have and work on ideas to expanding our freedoms in the future. And we do that by acknowledging some of the negative things that have happened and how we're going to deal with them and deal with them together. We've been doing that here on Twitter Spaces, and some of you guys have been really great. Many of us have established these relationships with friends across the United States, Canada, Europe, South America as well. Surprising number of people from South America, or maybe not all that surprising, who are really concerned about their freedoms and having their freedoms and holding on to their freedoms and what the future holds for them. We see what's happened in a couple of elections in South America. For those of you who don't know, both in Chile and Colombia, they've gone to the direction of the regressive left, the authoritarianism, and so we're praying for everybody there. And but we're going to focus on all the good things that are going on, and the negative things. When we talk about them, we're going to look at kind of what are the positive perspectives and how can we push forward around them. So I hope you're all having an amazing day. Did you all have an amazing long weekend? I hope you did. I hope you spent it either with friends or with family, or like myself, mostly alone, minus saw a couple of friends this weekend. And but I mean, for me, it was great because yesterday I had to, for putting together the book, aside from a million other things I had to do, I had the privilege of going through some of the most amazing and emotional messages, photographs that were taken during the convoy as we're trying to figure out what covers we're going to use, cover, back cover. And I had an idea. I thought, I couldn't decide between which images that we should be using. So I think I may crowdsource it to you guys. I may get a few different mock-ups made up of the cover and send it out to the internet and let you guys decide which of these 3 covers do you like best. That's at least what we're working on right now, because some of these images are just, they're really touching. You have a good photographer when just the photograph inspires an emotional reaction. So it was, for me, it was an amazing day. It was working, but it was very rewarding. So I hope the rest of you had an equivalent rewarding weekend, whether or not you just relaxed all weekend or you spent time with your family or with friends, or just kind of did that, emotional detox from so much work. And now we're getting into this back to school season. So back to school for some of us. I never realized until I was down there for an extended period of time. In Florida, for example, the school season starts not in September, but in August. So, each jurisdiction will be a little bit different. But in general, I think we look at this time of year as not only the school season, but for me, it's kind of that reset. It's, okay, we're going to take this summer, which is still here, but ending, and we're going to park it away and now start to focus on all the positive things coming forward over the next several months. And, well, what's going to happen? For those who love the turning of the leaves, if you're in the north, which I don't actually. I actually hate it. I just like green. I don't like yellow, brown, whatever. But a lot of people love it. And so for you, this is an amazing time. You're going to get to see that. We get into Halloween. The first snowfall, if you're up in the north, that is whether you like the winter or the winters are too long. We all are a little bit nostalgic about the first snowfall of the year. And that's my graphic designer messaging me. We're all a bit nostalgic for the first snowfall of the year. And then what happens? We get into Christmas and the Christmas season. And once again, we're spending time with family and friends and giving thanks and appreciating all the things that we had. And hopefully this Christmas will be time for reflection over things that happened in 2022. I mean, if you remember the Convoy, the protest was really early in the year. Started middle of January is when I had Tamara first reach out to me, and it was just a couple weeks later that we were all in Ottawa, and it's still in the lexicon. I saw Freedom Convoy trending for 3 days over leading into the weekend. So it's clearly living rent-free in the lives of authoritarians all over the world. Kiss Junkie says, on locals, I always felt that way too, about back to school season. I love the fall normally. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. Like, I'm very, I don't know, I like tropical. I like palm trees, a mojito, and a beach. That's my... And I like working in that atmosphere. I like living in cities that are like that and whatever. That's just my thing. I like the heat and I like the humidity. Most people here don't, and I get that. So for those of you who do love the fall, we're about to enter the best time of the year, and you should be excited for that. So I'm very happy for all of you. So that's the first thing. Next, I want to get into... and by the way, do we all love Rodney Dangerfield and Miss Rodney Dangerfield? I think I was one of those kids where my parents didn't really believe in censorship, which is why I'm big on free speech. So from a very young age, I was watching, Jerry Lewis, Rodney Dangerfield, Caddyshack, like National Lampoons, I guess. Like, there was, as a kid, I could watch that sort of stuff. And so you get that appreciation for comedy as a young age. And Rodney Dangerfield was very popular. My grandfather absolutely loved him as well. So, it was, it's this time of year. Every Labor Day, I think of that movie, Back to School, and which was hysterical. And maybe I'll end up watching it tonight in the truck when I get my work done, if I have some time. Couple of things. Bitcoin is in the news. There's, once again, the Bitcoin hysteria. And I try not to make this a Bitcoin podcast or stream, but I'm often in the Bitcoin chat. So if you're on Twitter, DJ and the guys at Swan Bitcoin and some of the others often invite me in and bring me on stage just to talk about things, because we're all kind of a similar mindset. And so I saw a lot of... we call it FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, about Bitcoin. Oh, the price is going down, its price is going down. And for those of you, I know there are people here not into Bitcoin, so I'm just going to make it very quick. But, everybody was, when Bitcoin hit, like 69,000 or almost 70,000, when it was at its peak, there were so many people who are messaging me, I want to buy Bitcoin. I want to buy Bitcoin. And I'm like, well, I told you months ago, or years ago, but okay, fine. So would explain them. Oh, it's too expensive. And I'm like, just, this is not financial advice, by the way. But if you want to get into any sort of asset investment, just dollar cost average, and don't worry about the fluctuations in the market. And then Bitcoin, this is what's happening right now. This is a mid-cycle drop. It happens every cycle. Bitcoin goes in 4-year cycles as the amount of Bitcoin that is, for lack of a better term, minted, but they call it mined. The amount of Bitcoin, new Bitcoin, is cut in half every 4 years. That's why we have these 4-year cycles. And always mid-through cycle, there's this lull. So the last cycle, it was between 3,500 and $6,000, if I remember correctly. Might be misremembering, but around that price action for like a year. it was just sideways doing nothing. And it's doing the exact same thing. This is the same phenomenon that always happens. That's why we say don't look at the highs of Bitcoin, look at the lows of Bitcoin year over year, and you'll see how the trend goes up. And I like how Michael Saylor put it, that Bitcoin is the money. That's what people don't understand, because it's not controlled by a government. It's not controlled by any entity, institution. It is, like I said once, a number of times, trying to ban Bitcoin is like trying to ban the cerveza sickness. So that's why it's a hedge against our current system, which is a little bit, it's got some problems right now. I'm sure we'll work through them, but it's, they call it a safe haven asset. I just call it a hedge against the current system. And Jason says you should be in Bitcoin. Yeah, I think everybody should. When people on Wall Street who finally understand Bitcoin, or at least that are open, they're talking openly about it, not trying to front run everybody else. They when they say, yeah, it's something that everybody should have, I think they're saying 1 to 5% of their assets in Bitcoin. When they're saying it, because they're buying into it as well, because they understand now that it's completely decentralized, nobody controls it. And it's basically censorship-resistant money, and we saw that with the Freedom Convoy. The only truckers that were able to get money, other than people who donated money directly out of their pocket, was people who received Bitcoin. So that was the use case, and there will be a chapter on Bitcoin in my book, by the way. So very interesting, and some very influential people have contributed to that chapter as we've been going back and doing the research. So I want to thank all of them for their contribution. So more coming up on that in the near future. The ongoing topic of sabotaging the Freedom Convoy. I have had a number of people privately send me some messages who are starting to develop their theories as to who or what institutions were the ones who were screwing with the Freedom Convoy. And some very, very good theories. People are getting we're playing like hot potato. They're getting very, very close. And somebody says on Locals, I'm not going to say the name out loud because I don't want to, but the person on Locals, you are, let's just say you're more than warm. You're like molten lava hot. So we'll talk about that probably more on Locals. That's more of directly a Freedom Convoy community thing, specifically the individuals. But Jason, you definitely are putting it together, my friend. And there was a whole. That's just one person of many, but that was a strategic person for a specific purpose. So well done, Jason. And the other thing was interesting. Somebody sent me this. Oh my God! Somebody sent me this video from the Freedom Convoy Instagram channel, and it was the drone footage from China. Okay. About and I'll see what's going on with China with the lockdowns and all that sort of stuff. And somebody who's been great, who's been very supportive throughout the convoy and until this date. She's a wonderful person and helped bring to my attention the accident with the truckers in BC. So I'm eternally grateful for that. She sent me this, the Freedom Convoy Instagram channel, the the Chinese drone, and it was dark. It was negative. It was, the world is ending. And let me ask you, was that the feel and vibe of the Freedom Convoy? I'm pretty sure it was about peace, love, unity, and freedom, wasn't it? I don't know if you saw me putting any, dystopian videos up there, how the world is going to end. So who's doing that? Who's running the Freedom Convoy Facebook page and Instagram channel, whatever? Because I can tell you one thing, because I know this specifically. I found this last week. It's nobody involved in the Freedom Convoy. Nobody. So food for thought. I'll get onto that more this week because there might be some significant announcements on that topic. So the ongoing saga of the sabotage of the Freedom Convoy continues. We're going to touch on it a little bit in the book. I think mainly we're going to discuss those things over Substack and on these sort of streams. The book launch will be a live event, so which will have, unfortunately, limited capacity. There's only a couple hundred people. I will inform everybody when we have all the details ready to go public. And for those of you who are participating, locals, Instagram, everywhere in the Substack, I'll let everybody know, and we'll figure out a way to get as many of you there as possible. And if the demand is if there is enough demand, then there may be some future events to follow up with that, because I know there's a lot of people got a lot of questions about what went on during that month and the months since. And there may be, depending on the success of this book, there might be a second one coming down the pipeline. But we'll see. One thing at a time. We'll see how things go. On locals, I put it together as soon as the person started popping his nose into the picture. Well, you're a lot better than most people, brother, because boy, do you have it down pat. So we'll talk more about that. I think maybe at some point we'll do a locals exclusive on this topic and these topics. So if you're not subscribed to the locals group, honkingforfreedom.locals.com, and you can go there. The promo code is free, FREE, all capital letters, the number 6. It works for some people. It doesn't work for other people. I don't know. If you just want to join and make a contribution, which is what it does, I greatly appreciate it. I promise you, it's not going to be a waste of your money, because you're going to get a lot of that back. And I think there might be a little bit of a preference in terms of the book launch event, that if you're subscribed to the Honking for Freedom locals, you'll probably get first dibs at a spot, because I know already that we're probably going to be well beyond capacity very quickly, especially given the people who are likely going to be there, and that's what we're trying to work out. We're trying to work out who is available. We're trying to work around everybody's schedules, and there are people that most of you would probably know. So, that's that. We will revisit that. So I encourage anybody on the Honking for Freedom locals platform. Don't be shy to post what considerations you have around the sabotage of the Freedom Convoy. And this week, we'll see how it happens, might become a little bit noisy, and we'll address what occurred in the in court last week on Friday. There was a report in the news about the Freedom Convoy organizers that were trying to get $450,000 released for the commission. That's not accurate, not the Freedom Convoy organizers. And so the CTV article, although it was really alarming, it was inaccurate, and things are much, much worse than what was indicated in that piece. But we'll more on that in the coming weeks, sometime probably during this week. Just a bunch of things that got to line up, and we're trying to get some things pecked off the old to-do list before we go forward into the next step. Questions, comments, just one thing I jotted down, and I'm sorry if I got to make it a little bit quick, because my dispatch today is a far one. I'm going to be basically almost towards Boston by the end of the day, and I'm going to meet my brother there for dinner, so I don't want to be late. So this was, somebody posted, I don't remember what I grabbed this from, a YouTube comment. I don't know, YouTube, Twitter, one of them. Speaking of the people of Ottawa being full of SHIT, I think you're asking the wrong question. Who sabotaged the Freedom Convoy? It is an interesting question, but I think the first question to be answered is, what mischief was being counseled to commit by the protesters? 100%. That is, I mean, that's how you know this is all politically motivated. I don't know how many of them knew, but I was talking with police the entire time because I have family and friends in policing, and they were just, I got a lot of WTFs. What are they doing in Ottawa? And then others telling me, oh, yeah, this is to be expected by the interim guy. So, because everybody kind of, policing's kind of a small community. A lot of people know a lot of other people. And as they were explaining, they were laughing to me. The mischief, one of my friends said to me, in my almost 20-year career, I have never laid a charge of mischief against anybody. It's the threat that rookie cops use when they go to break up a bunch of kids that are drinking in the park. That's mischief. It's something that is normally summary judgment, meaning it's like a parking ticket. You don't need to go to trial, and that's how it's set up. So this is completely fabricated and quite disgusting, to be entirely honest, and quite disappointing that there was not the legal fortitude to bury through that, because I've spoken to many other lawyers throughout the past several months, and everybody's beside themselves. They don't understand how a mischief charge and this counseling, which never really existed before, was being used to keep anyone in jail for an extended period of time. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. And I personally don't. I know a lot of people are really concerned about the judiciary and our judges. As I've mentioned, I do work on Not on Record with Joseph Newberger, Diana Davison, Chris Assey, who two criminal lawyers and a legal researcher, and got a lot of insight into, I mean, more than usual. I have enough people in my life who are lawyers or in various jurisdictions in various countries for some reason. I don't know why. But very interesting to see from their perspective the state of the Canadian judiciary, that obviously there are warning signs and alarms, but there are also still a lot of good people there. So for this commission that we're all talking about, the justice who was picked, everybody's quick to judge to say he was a Liberal appointee. Okay, I mean, remember, the role of a judge is to try to be impartial. And we know activist judges do exist, but I think they are not the norm for the most part. They seem to be still quite fringe when it happens, and it's almost on a case-by-case basis. At least that's my understanding. But this justice, who was a Liberal appointee, he was a Paul Martin Liberal appointee, not a Trudeau appointee. And I happen to know from friends who are Liberals, who are starting to be more vocal, there is no love loss for Prime Minister Blackface Diversity, the most racist Prime Minister to hold office in Canadian history, between him and the reasonable Paul Martin, Chrétien era Liberals. Something I don't know people realize, how much the world has changed. Paul Martin, and this is really not my political issue. There are ones that I'm really, passionate about. This is not one I'm passionate about. People get upset over it. It's just not my thing. I got other stuff. Like Paul Martin, a Liberal Prime Minister, he's pro-life. So how far have we gone from having somebody on the Liberal side who's on the pro-life side of the debate to now we have these lunatics who celebrate things like abortion? That's how far from the mold of liberalism and being a centrist they've gone. And they've taken all the Martin, Chrétien era liberals, they kicked them to the side. They treated them like garbage as soon as blackface got into office. And you know what? It's going to turn around and it's going to turn around and bite them in the face, because I said a while ago, the people who will stab blackface diversity in the heart are the Martin, Chrétien era liberals. And maybe this is going to be the opportunity. I don't know. But my point is, let's not jump to conclusions about justices when they haven't even started, and let's be as objective as we hope they will be, and give them a chance to do their job with the dignity and respect that most of them do. So that's just my couple of thoughts here. So a couple of comments here on locals, and I can't see the comments. Oh, there we are. Hey, good morning, everybody. Sorry, I couldn't see the comments on the Twitter feed. Ryan, it's good to see you, brother. And I hope all is well. And good morning, Jennifer and Megan and everybody else. A couple of comments on here, and I got to run. So, the most corrupt and racist. That's true. Some liberals are not happy either. Good to know. More than some. As I'm learning, it's the majority of liberals who, I've had some conversations with some of them. They're a little too into identity politics, which I'm not, okay, I get it. They're not so hardened about identity politics, but they're a little bit into it more than I'm comfortable with. But whatever, okay. It's a difference of perspective. But it's that the idea that they're not progressive, they're liberal, right? And that's the distinction that needs to be made, that this progressive cancer, which is veiled communism, has taken over their party. And kind of the centrist, reasonable liberals who may disagree on a lot of things and agree with some of them, they're just fed up and they're tired. Most of them have TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. But at the same time, I tell them, look, I get it. Like, I don't have the same view, but I can also understand why he rubs people the wrong way. Just the way your average brash New Yorker will rub some people the wrong way, which is what he is. So there's a lot more commonality there than I think, and I'm hoping that path forward will, that this commission will be a good step in that path forward. Now, what's going to happen? My guess is we're going to get a report that's going to kind of blame all sides and allow the political class to say, well, everybody is in the wrong here, but let's all come together and be Canadians, and they'll try to sweep it under the rug. I don't think that's going to be successful, but I think that's what they're going to try to do, which, practically speaking, in a liberal democracy where we have our differences, but we all got to come together, I kind of understand the underlying philosophy that drives that. But I don't think this is the issue to do that with. That's just my personal thing. Progressive liberalism is a mental health issue, not a political one. It's funny you mentioned that. I'm actually going to be in the truck today. I have earmarked one of Cialdini's books that I'm going to reread or re-listen to, or this time I'll listen to it, that I haven't read in several years, maybe 6 or 7 years, because I think that ties into a lot of this stuff, what's going on, that people, and you see that with Sam Harris, that there's there's a degree of manipulation or hypnosis that him and many others have clearly been subjected to. And I think that's what's driving it. So anyways, listen, I love all of you, and I want you all to listen, this is a new season has started. The amazing summer, the cerveza sickness-free summer is over. Now we're going into the cerveza sickness-free fall. The leaves are going to turn. People are going to become more introspective and reach out to their families as the temperature gets colder, spend more time with their friends, and it's going to culminate around Christmas where we're all together with our loved ones and have some time off to appreciate the world around us. And I will be there with you because I'm going to continue doing this. I quite love doing this. This is great. And I love getting your feedback, and I love joining you guys in the Twitter spaces. Jennifer James invited me last night. I was trying to get to it, but there was an incident with my friend Gad Sad, for those of you who know who he is, and trying to help him out with something. And before I knew it, it was bedtime for me. I'm not a 2 a.m. guy unless I'm on a resort somewhere having one too many mojitos. Last comment on locals. I've been going back reading some of Hunter S. Thompson's material. He was what considered progressive liberal, or at least pushed the movement. It's crazy. He was able to break down the direct party ahead, even journalism. He warned us in 1958. Yeah, and that harkens back to something I mentioned the other time. Most of my influences in my life, most of them were quite liberal, and in some ways equal to me, in some ways far more liberal than I am on certain issues. And just because I'm more libertarian and stuff, but fiscal issues, there's nothing we're going to agree on, which is where I get there's a few issues I get very, very conservative on, apparently, and one of them is fiscal policy and that fiscal perspective. But and the reason I'm not shy and ashamed to say that is because you need to listen to people on all sides of the perspective to get a better understanding of your philosophical worldview, or sometimes change your mind, which I've done. Sometimes I love hearing an amazing argument that I hadn't considered that makes me question how I came to my conclusions. And sometimes you realize, yeah, you know what? Maybe they're right. And that sometimes happens. Jennifer is concerned. I was at a concert and couldn't join either. Well, I hope the concert was amazing, and I hope you had an amazing time and you enjoyed the weather. And again, love all you guys. We'll speak to you soon. And please join the honkingforfreedom.locals.com. I think because so many of you have joined and have been contributing, and that is growing for the purpose of the live event for the book launch, which is going to be epic, I hope. There will be a preference to you guys first as well. You guys and people who joined the Substack secondary. And Jason, you're probably going to be on the list as well, because you were the first one to contribute repeatedly to the Honking for Freedom, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, man. It really says a lot. So thank you, guys. I got to run. I got to get in my truck, and I will stay safe. You stay safe as well, and hug and love those around you.